American Land. This is Dr. Don here for HornetCast Sweet 16. That's right, episode 16. And for this HornetCast, we can only do awesome, cool stuff. So we've come to the AP Art Exhibition, and we're going to be talking to some of our wonderful artists here at CAG about their artwork. And so we have our first artist here. Can you tell us what your first name is and what grade you're in and what inspired you to become an artist?
My name is Helena Hansen. I'm in grade 10. My big inspiration, I guess, I watched a ton of cartoons as a kid.
Okay.
All I watched Cartoon Network, Disney XD, occasionally Disney Channel. I would only ever want to watch cartoons. Anything live action, too boring. It had to be cartoons all the time. To this day, I still love cartoons, and it's kind of remains as like that inspiration for my passion.
So when we look at your art exhibit, we can see that influence of cartoons, right? Because we have the different caricatures. And this one is pretty fun right here. How did you learn how to do this?
This,
That's amazing.
I took a photo of my room as reference, and then the actual characters, it's kind of just from experience. I guess I just learned to pick up like a cartoonish style, and that's how I do like all these little caricatures.
Okay. And this one's very out there.
Yes.
It's like, whoa, kind of like crazy.
Very chaotic.
Very chaotic. And that's the way you intended it?
Yes.
Okay. So what does this represent to you symbolically?
So my inquiry question throughout all my artworks is, how does maladaptive daydreaming affect how teenagers function or see the world? So this is kind of just about that escapism and that wanting to constantly daydream in order to find an escape from reality, from a lot of pressures that teenagers face, family issues, academic pressures, a lot of things that may lead them to want to use that as a form of escapism. And it's kind of chaotic to kind of show that like chaoticness of the mind while doing that and really wanting to like get out of that reality, which is why it's a little violent, I guess.
Okay, so it's kind of about that mode of daydreaming and what happens and how you kind of escape sometimes.
Yes.
If you need to. As teenagers, as human beings, we do that. Okay. Awesome job. High five. Way to go. Nice work. So now we're here with Natalia and her exhibits, and I just love this. Look at that. You have the whale, but is this like a backbone?
Yeah.
So
it represents like what we don't see underwater. So like we see the whale, but we don't see what they're going through actually.
So the whale might look healthy jumping out of the water, but the pollution in the water and the things that are happening in the water might be killing the whale.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what
okay. And then here we have a self-portrait. Is that you?
That's me.
That is you. I could tell it was you. That's how good it is. And you have an oxygen mask on. Why is that?
Because we're humans that create pollution that affect the animals around us. I represented it with birds, but it also like affects us. So that's why I have a oxygen mask.
Is this sign language or is it just?
It's just.
It's just the way you did the arm. It's really good.
Yeah, thank you.
And then your next piece was this one?
Yeah. So
Okay.
in this one I used the yarn to mimic the muscle tissue.
Ah, okay. I see the crosses here.
Uh-huh.
And that's accurate.
Yeah.
Like
I can see
you're
that.
like a pre-med student with this sculpture. Okay. good.
So through this whole portfolio, I was focusing, as I said, on the human anatomy, and I also made different studies. I had the opportunity to witness a live model in nude and drawing. It's
Really?
very interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
It gives you a different perspective on proportions,
Okay.
human proportions. Very important.
Was it very difficult? Because
It was gesture drawings. It was more like sketching.
more like sketching.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was a very beautiful experience. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
So I can tell that this is your exhibit
Yeah.
because if you just stand a little bit closer, you're right here.
resemblance.
Can you put your head just facing that way a little bit? Just turn it a little bit. Right there. Yes! That's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's you.
Yeah.
Self-portrait.
Yeah.
And so you got, I noticed one thing about your exhibit right away, you have a lot of colors.
Yes.
So tell me about the colors and why the colors are important to you.
Okay. So my whole essay or sustained investigation was about my color blindness and how I see the world through my color blindness. So, be that as it may, I had to focus a lot on color. And color has been I made color an integral part of my process in art since it was such a weakness, I had to make it into a strength. And by making it into a strength, it's how I do my work. So with color, I block in the color, I block in the light, and like what color I need to use in order to get the right light. And I pivoted from the start of my works, which I started with chalk pastel. This is my last work with chalk pastel. I wanted to challenge myself through the winter. I did this through the winter months. I think it turned out pretty well. I tried to imitate a lot of muralists like Diego Rivera and everything like that. And then I pivoted to acrylic. This is my actual first work with acrylic.
Ever in
Yeah,
your whole life?
ever.
Wow,
Which I think-
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, thank you.
Not too bad.
Thank you.
So let me just tell you that before I came up to this exhibit, I had no idea you were colorblind.
Okay.
And so I almost got chills
Yeah.
when you said that, because this is amazing.
Thank you.
And for someone to be colorblind and do this, it's like triple amazing. It's
Thank
like
you.
incredible. It's incredible. So you've submitted this for your AP portfolio.
Yeah.
And when do you find out how you did?
I think through the summer.
Through the summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
At later stage of the summer, like in July.
Awesome. Very good.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Awesome job. I'm impressed. This is your exhibit. And when I just come over here and I look at it really quickly, I see nature, I see animals, and I see color. And I see Guatemala.
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Some of your themes. So tell us about, each of you have an inquiry question for your art. Tell us about your inquiry question.
So my inquiry question revolved around Guatemala and being able to represent my culture and just different traditions that have been passed down through generations. So for example, with this one, for me, since I was a child, I have always been very, like my grandparents have always told me that there's a lot of child labor in Guatemala. And that, I have to be grateful for being as privileged as I am. So for this artwork, I wanted to represent child labor in Guatemala. So I decided to use horses and I put them in traditional Guatemalan clothes. And I painted Antigua in the back.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
So why did you choose to use horses?
because at
Just
the
wondering.
start of my sustained investigation, I wanted to use animals as the base for all my drawings.
Okay.
This is my favorite.
This is your favorite one. Okay. So we saved the
So-
best for last. I like this,
This
one.
one-
It's really nice.
I did it in December break, and I think I was really able to be more creative in this one, research a lot about it. So I basically used the Quetzalcoatl, which is an ancient Mayan god, and then I did the Hombres de Maíz. I wanted to show how agriculture in Guatemala and corn is corn is a staple food in Guatemala. You see corn tortillas
Yes, yes.
everywhere. It's amazing. Everyone loves them. And I wanted to show how it's also very labor intensive to cultivate corn.
Mm.
And agriculture in Guatemala is also very important. So yeah.
Awesome. Congratulations, Inez. That was an awesome portfolio. Way to go. Go Hornets.
Yeah.
So we're here with Ariela. Is that your name?
Yeah.
Okay, what grade are you in, Ariela?
I'm in grade 10.
And who's this fine gentleman next to you?
This is my dad.
This is your dad. It came for the AP art exhibit. So can you tell us a little bit about your art exhibit? We actually looked at this earlier because we were attracted to it. We
Really?
gravitated toward it. It had a magnetic force on us.
That's
And we
amazing.
came over to check it out because it was really cool. So can you tell us a little bit about it? We know you had an inquiry question.
Yeah.
What was your inquiry question, and tell us about your art?
So my inquiry question was how I recover myself and find inner peace after moments of chaos. Chaos represents difficult moments in life that we all face. And I wanted to represent that visually, and I represented it through fumage over here.
Say that again.
Fumage.
Fumage.
It's fire.
Sorry. Okay,
It's
thank you.
fire.
You have to educate.
Fire.
Yeah.
Yes, fumage.
It's
okay.
fire.
Fire.
And I wanted to represent the chaos and difficulties in life through fire. And I also wanted to represent self-control, how I gain self-control and how I find my identity after these moments through thread. If you look at here, this is fumage. This is also fumage. But if you compare to this one, you really see the difference where I'm starting to heal. Here it's like more intense, you know.
Yeah.
I wanted to represent like the emotion that I feel in that moment.
So these connect
yeah.
where they show the healing's taking place.
Yeah. This is where I start to heal.
Okay.
And like I said, thread represents self-control. So you can see here.
Let me ask you kind of a question about this one. I don't see the yonder pouch in here anywhere. Did that help you at all with this healing process? Or did it make it worse?
I mean, like, it helped because it
You're
did
able
not
to connect
help
to yourself.
at the same time. Because, well, it did not help because because without the yonder,
You need to do it on your own.
I needed to take the
Yes.
photo.
Yeah.
The phone was
You needed the
there,
technology.
so it did not
You
help.
needed the technology.
Yonder did not
You had to have the yonder pouch unlocked for this
Yeah.
picture.
No, but if we're speaking like actually, I feel like it did help because I feel like usually in recess we would be just
On the phone
We
instead of
didn't realize-
socializing.
Yeah, and now it's like I don't know. I've made a lot of more friends without the phone because usually I would just spend time at my table with my friends, like scrolling through TikTok. I know what.
You are amazing. I'll bet your dad is very proud.
definitely.
Oh my goodness.
Congratulations.
This is amazing. Congratulations
Thank you.
on a great portfolio and so well explained. Thanks for being the star of our
Very well
Hornet
explained.
Cast.
Thank you.
Way to go.
Thank you, sir.
Congrats. Very good. That was great. Great. Very impressive. But I need to know about it. I need to know what's making it tick. Because I see a keyboard here that used to be a keyboard and it's like totally been deconstructed
Yes.
and then reconstructed into something else. So what's going on here?
Basically, so my inquiry question for my AP Art was how technology and social media affects the perspective of people and their role in society, specifically young women. For example, in this one, I meant to portray like a simulation, and she's like ripping out. This
Okay.
one, the binding.
Like a simulation, you got to help us old adults with what does that mean? What is the simulation?
So it's basically the grasp of social media that it has on young women specifically. That's where I use specifically on my inquiry, but really in all of us.
Okay.
And how it's shaped in a way that it confines you and it alters your reality in the sense that you're in this simulated reality and you're not really connected to what's going on around you. That's also in here. This one, my idea with this one was to represent a social media addiction. And I used the material for synthesis. I used keyboard keycaps and like electrical wires in like a chip from the keyboard. And this is meant to symbolize how she's being like taken away from nature in like this reality, how she's being disconnected. And the name of this artwork is The Hostage of the Net. And it's meant to
Love
represent that she's in this room, and this dark room represents social media and how its influence is keeping her blinded and like constrained to this is the social media that's pulling her away from
That is
nature.
awesome.
Yeah.
This needs to be in my office. I need to add that to my office. You're an artiste. Go Hornets.
Go Hornets!
Yes.